Welcome back to the Architecture Corner. This is part 3 of our 4-part exploration into AWS messaging solutions.
That's right.
Now, you, our listener, have shared some really interesting stuff about event-driven architecture and different ways to decouple applications.
Yeah, really good material.
We've already unpacked SQS and SNS in the previous parts. Today, we're really zeroing in on another powerful tool, AWS EventBridge.
Exactly. And the sources you looked at, they really highlighted this need to handle more complex integration scenarios.
Right, especially with third-party services and all sorts of different outgoing systems.
So our mission today is to figure out how EventBridge actually tackles these needs and what makes it different from SQS and SNS.
Okay, let's jump right in then. EventBridge, what's the core idea? What's its place in the landscape?
So EventBridge is basically a serverless event bus. AWS launched it in 2019.
Okay.
You can think of it as building on its predecessor, CloudWatch Events. Remember CloudWatch Events? Scheduling, reacting to AWS service changes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, EventBridge takes that idea and really expands it,
Right.
specifically to bring in third-party SaaS applications and, of course, your own custom services, too. Its main job is just listening for events from all these places.
Listening, like a central hub almost, a nervous system for events.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Central nervous system.
So what makes it stand out? What are the key features that make EventBridge?
Well, a big one is that direct integration with lots of third-party SaaS providers. That's a major differentiator.
Ah, okay.
Plus, you can set up multiple event buses, which is really handy for keeping things organized.
Multiple buses. Interesting.
Yeah, isolates different event streams. And maybe the most powerful part is its ability to do really quite sophisticated content-based filtering and routing using rules. You get fine-grained control over where events go.
Content-based filtering. That sounds really useful. Okay, but before we go too deep there, let's just nail the basics. What exactly is an event in EventBridge terms?
Good question. An event is, at its core, just a message. It signals that something happened. A change in state, maybe?
Okay, just a notification.
Exactly. Could be in your app, an AWS service,
Right.
a partner app. Structurally, it's always a JSON document. It's got the data payload, but also some metadata wrapped around it.
JSON. Got it. Are there specific fields in that JSON we should know about?
Definitely. 3 key ones to grasp are detail type, source, and detail.
Oh, okay, detail type.
Yeah, detail type tells you what kind of information is in the event, helps categorize things.
Right, and source.
Source identifies who or what generated the event, an AWS service name, or maybe your own application. Best practice there is to use a fully qualified name, like com.mycompany.myapp.service. Avoids clashes.
Makes sense. And detail.
Detail is the heart of it. That's the actual event data itself, also in JSON format, whatever payload you need to send.
Okay, so events have a structure, a source, a type, and the data. Where do they actually come from? The event source.
Precisely. The event source is what produces the event. And EventBridge thinks about sources in 3 main categories.
3 types. Okay.
First, you've got AWS services themselves. Lots of them emit events automatically. Think about SageMaker, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it can send notifications to EventBridge when, say, a machine learning training job changes status, starts, completes, fails, that kind of thing.
Ah, okay, so AWS services talking to each other through EventBridge. What else?
Second type is your own custom services and applications. Maybe you already have apps publishing events, perhaps using SNS.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Well, you can easily point those to send events to an EventBridge bus instead.
Right. And the third type, you mentioned SaaS earlier.
Exactly. The third type is partner applications. This is where that direct SaaS integration really comes into play. Services like Auth, Zendesk, Datadog.
Common tools people use.
Yeah. AWS has partnerships where these platforms can publish events directly into your EventBridge environment.
Directly. So no more polling APIs constantly.
Well, it definitely reduces the need for that. It's a much cleaner, often more secure way to get notified by those external services.
That sounds way better. Okay, so sources generate events. They land on the event bus. What's the bus doing?
The event bus is like the central pipeline. It receives all these incoming events. Its main job is to look at them, evaluate them against rules you set up, and then route them to the right places. It's the traffic controller.
The intelligent traffic controller. Nice. And you mentioned multiple buses before. Why different types?
Right, there are 3 main types. First is the default event bus. Every AWS account gets one automatically.
Okay.
And that's where all the events from native AWS services go by default.
Got it. AWS stuff goes there.
Then you have partner event buses, One of these gets created automatically whenever you set up an integration with a SaaS partner. So one bus per partner.
Dedicated channel for each partner.
Okay. And finally, custom event buses. These are the ones you create for your own applications to publish events to. Helps keep your app events separate from the AWS service noise.
So default for AWS, partner for SaaS, custom for your own stuff. Nice separation.
Exactly. Good for organization, governance, all that.
Okay, events land on a bus. How do we tell the bus where they should go? That's the rules, right? The dispatch system.
Precisely. Rules are where you define the logic. If an event looks like this, send it here.
Okay.
You associate a rule with one specific event bus. And one rule can actually send matching events to up to 5 different destinations or targets.
5 targets per rule. And how do you define looks like this?
The rules are defined using JSON patterns.
Yeah.
And these patterns can inspect pretty much anything in the event the metadata fields like source or detail type, or even dig right into the detail payload itself.
Ah, the content filtering.
Yes. And you can have quite a few rules, up to 300 per bus.
Wow, okay. So a rule matches an event. Where does it send it? The target.
Exactly right. The target is the destination,
Yeah.
and EventBridge supports a really wide range of AWS services as targets.
Like what?
Oh, things like SNS topics, SQS queues, naturally, but also API gateway, kinesis streams, Lambda functions, step functions, state machines, even other EventBridge buses.
Other buses, so you could chain them, maybe across accounts.
You absolutely could.
Yeah.
Enable some pretty interesting patterns for cross-account or cross-region communication.
Cool. Okay, let's go back to that filtering power you mentioned. Why is that such a big deal compared to, say, just filtering in my Lambda function?
It's a big deal because, well, think about it. In many systems, not every component cares about every single event flying around.
Right, lots of noise usually.
Exactly. Without good filtering up front, you might have Lambdas triggering, SQS queues filling up, all processing messages they ultimately just ignore or throw away.
Wasted cycles, wasted costs.
Precisely. EventBridge lets you do that filtering right in the infrastructure using the rules. So the downstream services only get the events they actually need to act on.
So less code for me to write to handle irrelevant stuff.
Less code, lower cost because you're not invoking things unnecessarily, and often lower latency because you cut out that wasted processing. It's filtering before invocation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. How granular can this filtering get? Is it just checking the source field?
Oh, much more than that.
Yeah.
You can definitely filter on source or detail type, the high-level stuff. But the real power is defining patterns that look deep inside the detail payload.
Inside the actual event data.
Yep. Remember that e-commerce example? Maybe you only want your CRM system to know when an order is order shipped or order could not be shipped.
Right.
You can write a rule that specifically looks for those values in the detail type field, or maybe a status field inside the detail payload.
Okay, matching specific values. What about more complex stuff? Like only if a specific field exists or has a certain structure.
Absolutely. Since detail is JSON, your rule patterns can match on nested elements. For instance, maybe you only care about orders where detail.delivery is set to express.
Ah, okay, so you can really pinpoint specific conditions.
You can. And EventBridge offers more advanced matching too. Things like prefix matching on strings, checking if numbers fall within a range.
Numeric ranges too.
Yep. And even negative matching, like match all order events, except when detail.status is order picked and packed. It's very flexible.
Wow, okay. That's pretty powerful filtering. Any gotchas with setting up those rules?
One key thing to remember is how it handles values. EventBridge generally treats things as strings for matching. So the number 100 is different from the string 100.0.
Ah, good tip. String comparison.
Right. Also, you can often use arrays in your patterns to match multiple values for one field. So instead of 5 rules for 5 statuses, you might have 1 rule matching status shipped, delivered, returned.
Okay, using arrays. That simplifies things.
Definitely.
All right, so we've got events coming in, getting filtered by rules, sent to targets. What about actually sending an event to EventBridge? Is that hard?
Not at all, actually. It's
Huh?
really quite simple, very much like sending a message to SQS or publishing to SNS. You use the put events API call. And it's nice because you can send just one event, or you could batch up multiple events in a single API request.
Batching is good for efficiency.
Yeah.
And what happens when you call put events? How do you know it worked?
The response tells you what you need to know. It'll give you the count of any events that failed to be ingested by the bus.
Okay, so it tells you about failures.
Right. And for the events that were successfully accepted, it gives you back their unique event IDs.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, if there were failures, The response includes details about why they failed.
Ah, so you get error info to help debug.
Exactly, which is super helpful for figuring out what went wrong and maybe correcting and resending those specific events.
Makes sense. Okay, so sending is straightforward. The name EventBridge really suggests, well, bridging things, connecting things. Tell me more about its integration chops.
Yeah, you've hit on a key strength. EventBridge really excels because of the sheer number and variety of things it can connect to, both as sources and as targets.
More connections than maybe SNS or SQS.
Often, yes, especially in terms of the direct, managed integrations with other AWS services and those SaaS partners. It really lets you build complex, loosely coupled systems using managed services effectively.
You mentioned step functions earlier. How do they fit together? That sounds like a powerful combo for workflows.
It really is. It's a very elegant integration. If you're using step functions for orchestration, maybe implementing sagas,
Right, complex, multi-step processes.
EventBridge lets you connect things directly. You can have an EventBridge rule trigger a step function state machine execution directly when an event arrives.
Directly, without needing a Lambda in between to start the workflow.
Exactly. No intermediary Lambda needed just to kick things off. Cuts out a moving part.
Nice.
And it works the other way, too. Your step function workflows can directly publish events back onto an EventBridge bus as one of their steps.
Oh, interesting. So state machines can both react to and emit events via EventBridge.
Precisely.
What are the big wins from doing it that way?
Well, fewer integration pieces means less code complexity, right? Less code to write, less to debug, less to maintain.
Always a good thing.
And potentially cost savings, too, if you're avoiding those extra Lambda invocation costs. Plus, it just makes the whole flow easier to understand and troubleshoot when things are more directly connected.
Okay, that step functions integration sounds really solid. What about bridging out to those external SaaS tools we talked about? How does that work in practice?
Right, so many apps need to integrate with third parties for things that aren't their core business authentication, support tickets, monitoring,
Great, standard practice now.
and the old ways, hitting their APIs directly, setting up webhooks or maybe polling. They all have issues.
Security headaches with API keys, firewall rules, and polling is just inefficient.
Totally. Polling means delays or hammering their API. Webhooks mean managing endpoints and security. EventBridge offers a cleaner path through the AWS Partner Program.
The partner program.
Yeah. SaaS providers who are part of this program can configure things so their platform sends events directly into a dedicated partner event bus in your AWS account.
Ah, so the sauce vendor pushes events straight into my AWS environment.
Exactly. The event travels securely within AWS infrastructure, not usually over the public internet. It simplifies things massively and shifts a lot of the security burden.
That sounds like a huge improvement for sauce integration. Okay, EventBridge sounds incredibly versatile. Does this mean, should we basically stop using SNS now? Is EventBridge the replacement?
That's a really important point. No, absolutely not. EventBridge isn't meant to be a wholesale replacement for SNS.
Okay.
They both have their sweet spots. Think of them as different tools for different jobs.
Right. So what are the trade-offs? When would I still reach for SNS?
Okay, quick comparison. Latency. If you need the absolute lowest possible latency for message delivery, SNS might still have a slight edge in some cases.
Okay. Ultra low latency, maybe SNS. What else?
Fan out. If you need to send one message to like thousands or tens of thousands of subscribers simultaneously, SNS's topic model is built for that massive fan out. EventBridge rules currently have that limit of 5 targets per rule.
Okay. So huge fan out. SNS is probably simpler.
Probably, yeah. But where EventBridge really shines is that deep content-based filtering we talked about. Inspecting the payload to make routing decisions, SNS filtering is much more basic based on attributes.
Right. The payload inspection is key for EventBridge.
And also the breadth of direct integrations with other AWS services, both as sources and targets. EventBridge often provides a more seamless, unified way to connect various AWS components.
So it really depends on the specific pattern I'm building.
Exactly. You need to look at your application's needs. Do I need complex filtering? Massive fan out. Lowest possible latency? Integration with specific services? The answer guides your choice.
That's a really helpful clarification. It's not one is better, it's which is right for this task.
Precisely. EventBridge adds a really powerful, flexible option to your architectural toolbox, especially for those complex integration scenarios and sophisticated filtering needs.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. This deep dive into EventBridge definitely cleared things up for me. It gave me some real aha moments about its capabilities and where it fits.
Good to hear. It's a key service for modern event-driven architectures on AWS.
It definitely seems like it complements SNS and SQS rather than just replacing them, another tool in the belt.
That's the way to think about it. Always more to learn in cloud architecture.
Indeed. Now, for everyone listening, for more detailed information and also a reminder to subscribe for free to the Architecture Corner newsletter, please do check the description.
Yeah, definitely check that out.
And we'll be back soon with the final part of this messaging series. We'll be looking at Kinesis and then trying to pull it all together, discussing some heuristics for how you actually choose the right AWS messaging service for your specific situation.
Looking forward to that one. That's where we try to connect all the dots.